Welcome to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Today, we have a guest by the name of John Ainsworth. John is an expert in helping course creators better monetize their courses and make a significantly higher income from the courses that they create. Now, before you move on and say to yourself, well, I don't need to listen to this, I don't have a course. Don't worry. That's one of the first things that I tackle with John on this interview. I say, hey, what about the people who don't necessarily have a course, but have traffic coming to a website or a web property? And so that's where we start. We start looking at how to build your email list with opt-ins and different opportunities, and then how to take that email list, how to convert it into a monetized format, even if you don't have a course, and how to vet which content of yours might work for a course. Then we dive into what does it look like to take a course and actually monetize that. Now, the numbers he shares are staggering for the amount of money you can make from traffic when it comes to a course in comparison to the amount of money you make with just affiliate or advertising revenue. And so it's that staggering amount of revenue that's left on the table that really fuels and motivates this conversation and why every single one of you need to listen to this. I personally have a website that does not have any sort of courses. And so I really felt inspired by this. Now, not inspired to go out and create a course, but inspired to start the process of building a better email list, of creating better opt-ins, of creating a list that then is ready to buy, and then how to vet which type of courses to create to go forward. Now, if you already have a course, John shares a bunch of more advanced tips for how to increase the revenue almost overnight. The tips were very simple. They're very easy for you to implement, and you can be earning more money from the courses you already have. So something here for people who are pre-course creation, but have website traffic. Something here for people who have an email list, but are under monetizing it. And then something here for people who have a course and might be leaving a lot of money on the table. I hope you enjoy everything that John has to share. Let's dive in. Have you been frustrated with your Google traffic lately? Are you tired of tools that make you search through millions of keywords and require a math degree to figure out? There's an SEO tool called Rank IQ that can help. They're ranked #1 on G2 for both ease of use and customer satisfaction. Rank IQ gives you a list of the lowest competition high traffic keywords in your niche, and they are all clear winners. When you choose one of their hand-picked keywords, their AI takes over and gives you a simple report telling you what Google wants you to cover in your blog post. Whether you have a new site or have been around for a while, Rank IQ will take your Google traffic to a whole new level. Go to rankiq.com/niche pursuits to lock yourself in at 50% off their monthly rate. I'll put this special link in the episode's description. And welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. My name is Jared Baum, and today we have John Ainsworth with us. John, welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yeah. Glad to have you here. And we were talking pre-show about what we have in store for us today. This is I was sharing with you, this is a topic that we haven't touched on in a while, if at all. So it's going to be a really fun deep dive into, we'll just say maybe some opportunities that a lot of website owners are leaving on the table. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, why don't you bring us up to speed on you and your background?
Yeah, so I had a background initially when I got started in mathematics and in sales. That was my kind of skills when I got started. I did sales jobs all the way through university. And I worked in marketing for a bunch of years. I kind of got into it, I guess, 20 years ago, something like that. And I was working in fitness marketing. And I was working with like gyms and local councils and hospitals, all kinds of people. And then I think it would be about 2015, .com Secrets came out. Mm-hmm. That's certainly when I first came across it. And I read that and I was like, where has this been all my life? Like, this is the thing. And I was like, I could immediately see there was like such potential in it. And what I found is really interesting. Loads of people in marketing are really creative and they're not really data driven. And I was like, I can pull all these bits together here. I can get these funnels running where I can analyze funnels. I can figure out conversion rates from one stage to the next. I can figure out how do you get more people into these fitness classes, kickboxing classes, gyms, all this kind of thing. And what I did is I started going through all of these different funnels and figuring out what worked and talking to different people and finding out conversion rates and analyzing stuff, and spent years like doing analysis around that and started to get really good at it. And what happened was we got so good that we could fill up any of these things, the gyms or the kickboxing clubs or what have you. And then what would happen is they didn't need us anymore because they're full.
Yeah. The curse of the marketer, right? The good marketer.
Sucked. I was like, this is dreadful. I've spent so long trying to get good at this thing. And now that I'm good at this thing, I actually would be better for me if I just kind of dragged it out a little bit more. And I'm like, but I'm not going to do that. So I started looking for like, who's got more capacity? And this is probably like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And I started looking at stuff online, right? I looked at e-commerce, SaaS businesses, course businesses, and I narrowed it down to course creators. I found that was like the audience that we work the best with, people who've already got a website, they've already got organic traffic, they've already got trust with their audience, they've got courses, and they don't know how to build the funnels to convert one thing to the other. So I worked a lot on that, and that's been like outstanding for us. It tends to be that course creators are experts in the field, they love to share, they build up an audience through years of creating free content, but they're not making as much money as they deserve. And most of them have no idea of the potential of their business. Like, it's just mind-boggling. And I think this is true with niche sites, enormous. I think niche sites, like authority sites, are the most undervalued thing on the internet. Like, people could be making like 10, 20 times as much as what they currently are, but their business model's wrong and the whole system that they've got set up is wrong. They're just making money from ads or affiliate. Then it's like they're just missing most of the money. So we had someone recently, she's got a big YouTube channel, and she came to me and she was making like $3,000 a month. And she told me she wanted to get to 10. And I laughed at her. And I didn't mean to, but it just came out. And I was like, but you're not going to go to 10. You're going to go to like 30,000 a month. And I was wrong. She didn't go to 30,000. She went to 50,000. And then she had another 50,000. And then the next month, 70,000, and then 60. And it's just maths. There's just these, if you've got the traffic and you've got something to sell and you use the right system, then you make good money from it. And it's just amazing. So that's kind of the background how I got here.
Well, what a tease, because I'm pretty sure that the majority of people listening are exactly in that, somewhat in that, well, maybe not a YouTube audience, but a website owner that has content monetized by, go figure, Amazon affiliates, maybe making 2% on their affiliate commission, ads, whether it's, a premium ad network or something. But still, I mean, how much, it sounds like, you're a pretty strong believer that if content creators are leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to the business model that they're currently using.
Yeah. So I've got a friend, used to be a client, amazing woman, runs this blog called Perfect English Grammar. And they have really good traffic. And she's been running that blog for years and, giving away loads of free content. And she makes decent money from ads, right? She makes enough money from ads to like pay for her lifestyle and what have you. But she makes like 8 times as much from courses that she sells. And that's,
8 times. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say on average about 8 times as much. She still runs some ads, but it's like, yeah, the money from this is so much more. And I think what's happened is people have got into a certain model. And so they've learned about how do you drive SEO traffic. They've learned about how do you build up affiliate links and ads. And that's what everybody else in that group that they're in does. And then there's another group of people over here who are doing something else. And they're like, well, we're not talking to them. We're not looking at that. We're not thinking about that because that's not our thing. That's not what we're doing. And so they don't realize how valuable their site is, how valuable all that traffic is, and what that can convert into. And it's it boggles my mind because I look at it from outside and I'm like, oh, I could just see it because I work with these people all the time, and I work with people who don't have the courses or have got courses and not got the marketing, or have gone all the way through and set the whole marketing up, and I can just see what the numbers are. We just have spreadsheets with them. We analyze it all the time. We can see that's what it's worth, but it's not known. It's not, people don't realize.
Because I know we're going to get into a lot of the details about what you recommend for this kind of stuff. But before we do that, let me ask you this. Do you think that, I'm trying to put myself in the position of a listener who has a website with content on it, but a lot of people go into website or niches that they feel they're an expert in. They have expertise from some sort of past, or maybe it's an interest. But a lot of people are in niches where they chose it maybe more for the SEO reasons, for the competition reasons. They don't feel that they're an expert. Now, just to give people a frame of mind as they start listening to the rest of this interview, how important is expertise in the kind of the course creation and monetization ideas that you have?
Yeah, so there's three parts to this kind of business model of what I'm talking about. You have to have traffic, you have to have courses that have got product market fit, and you've got to have the marketing system, the funnels that convert the audience into buying the courses. Now, the only part of that I work with people on is the funnels and the marketing. Like, how do you actually convert the audience to buying the courses? I'm not an expert around course creation. I think if you are the expert in your topic, it's relatively straightforward. It's a bunch of work, right? But it's not rocket science. It's like you go through and you learn how do you get good at how do you put together a good course. You learn about learning outcomes and about workbooks and about all the steps that you need to have and content structure and what have you. There are courses you can take about that. But you have to check that it is the thing that your audience wants, that your audience is like, that's what they're really interested in. You need to survey them and talk to them and understand what is it they're interested in. And to try and answer your question, there's like you were saying, like, do you have to be an expert in order to create the courses? You don't have to be. You can hire people who are the expert to create the course, as well as you hire people to create the content. I know quite a few people where they have never been the expert in their topic. They just have an area that they are building a site around, and then they also get people to create the courses about each of those topics as well.
Okay, I actually was hoping you might say something like that because that kind of gives everyone permission to go down this model depending on where they sit and where they lie on their journey right now. So that's great. That's great to hear. Okay, well, let's kick off. Let's talk about that. I mean, you mentioned there's three things. You want to dive into kind of some of the steps that people can embrace and harness for this process?
Yeah, so there's three things. If you want, from a marketing point of view, from a funnels point of view, if you want to convert your audience into buying courses, then there's three different things you need to have in place. You have to be able to increase the number of email subscribers, build up your email list from your audience. You have to get your email subscribers to then buy each month. And then you want to lastly increase the revenue per sale of each of those sales that you make. And if you do those three things, then that converts your audience into making a good amount of profit, providing them with great value because you're providing these great courses. And if you're starting out and you haven't got the courses yet, you can start doing this through selling affiliate courses. Like the margins on courses that you sell as an affiliate are outstanding. They're like 30, 40, sometimes even 50%, because that's a high margin product. So you can start with that before making courses yourself, test this out and see which of those courses are selling, which things are popular, and then go, okay, I'm going to make one of those myself for my audience and not bother with this other one because that didn't sell so well.
And as a lot of people listening, they're going to be experienced with marketing other people's products. A lot of affiliate marketers have experience in that. Just really quickly, any recommendations for where people go to find courses like that? Is it pretty niche specific, or are there any more general platforms that kind of give that opportunity?
Oh, ClickBank is a good one. Yeah. So you go into ClickBank and you can find which things are available, where are people offering things as an affiliate, or for you to be an affiliate. Okay. So, validate what people want. Because we've all heard the stories of where, someone spends months and months building something and then it's crickets. And it's because it was the wrong product fit. Yeah. 100%. Product fit is so important. Like we've got clients where their best selling product will outsell the worst selling product by like 10 times. It's like, so if you really want to know that before you spend a bunch of time making it, which end of the list is that, right?
Yeah, you don't want that to be you don't want that to come by happenstance.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, okay. So with that process or that research in mind, and I love your tip about actually selling at somebody else's course first to determine product market fit. I mean, there's enough courses out there that you can probably test a bunch of different ones before you dive into your own.
Yeah, 100%. So do you want me to talk through building the email list?
Yes, let's go through email list, because this is an area I think a lot of we have these conversations as website owners, inside side halls all the time, which is, I mean, I think a lot of site owners will get maybe in the early days 10 or 20,000 visitors a month, but certainly more established sites are getting 50, 100, 200, 300,000 visitors a month, and not building an email list or not putting energy and real concentrated effort towards it.
Yeah. And there's so much money that's available in the list. And there's a bunch of places where people go wrong here. One is a lot of people think, well, I don't make money from my email list, so I'm not going to bother building it. Or sometimes people think, well, I've put the effort into building it, but I never know what to send out to people, what have you. So we're going to go through this in like three steps here. First is building the email list, and then what do you send to them? And then how do you increase revenue? So even if people have got something on their site in order to grow their email list, so like a lead magnet or a newsletter opt-in, what we see is 95% plus of people have got an opt-in rate of somewhere between 0.5 and 1%. Mm-hmm. So of the total traffic they get, under 1% of those people each month will end up onto their email list. Now, a good level is about 2%, and great is about 5%. And the best we've had is 9.3%. Now, the range will vary depending on the niche that you're in. And so some niches, it's like you can't probably get past maybe 3%. And other ones, it's like you can get way, way higher. And I don't have data on like which ones are which. I just know that's what we've seen from implementing the whole system. It still sometimes tops out at the kind of around the 3%. But on average, 5% is doable for most people. So there's a few really simple things that you can do for this. First one is turn off double opt-in. And so a lot of people have double opt-in. It comes by default on most of the email marketing service providers. And it kind of makes sense, because you're like, well, you don't want people on your email list if the email address isn't valid. Mm-hmm. But there are other cleverer ways of checking if the email address is valid than insisting that someone has to click this one time on this one link that you've put into that first email. If you send out emails on a regular basis, you can do a clean every 3 months and say, everybody who hasn't opened any emails in the last 3 months, we're going to remove from the list.
Same effect.
Exactly the same effect, except revenue goes up by about 20%, and you probably double the number of leads that you get every month.
Wow. Because they have to double opt in.
Yeah, because double opting in is a pain, and people miss that email. And then if they miss the email, they never get onto your email list. And a bunch of those people are good leads. Some are not good, but a bunch of them are. So when we've run tests on this, it's double the number of opt-ins, and on average, revenue goes up by 20%. Obviously, only if you're then sending out emails that are going to make you money. But like we're getting to that later, right? So that's the first one. That's really easy. But you still want to do that cleanup, but only every 3 months. The second one is to show your lead magnet more often on your site. So if you've just got a newsletter opt-in, then instead of that, replace it with a lead magnet. So this is something you're giving away for free that is of real value to your audience, that they can get value from very, very quickly. It could be a template or a swipe file or a calculator or a quiz, something along those kind of lines. They don't have to do anything. They just fill it in and then they get the value. You can do an ebook. You can do a video course. They're fine. But best is something that's just immediate value that someone can get. Like, so the site that I said about that had 9.3% opt-in, it's paintable.cc. And they are teaching digital artists how to be better at art and how to make money from it as well. And their opt-in is free digital painting brushes. Oh, wow. So you put in your email address, you get the painting brushes, you upload them into whatever software you're using, something in Adobe, I'm going to guess, and then you've got them. And it's instant value straight away. So that's the one that's done the best ever for us. So once you've got that lead magnet, you want to put that everywhere on your site. Most people will have it in a couple of places. So there's a bunch of different things you can do here. You set up a pop-up so that after someone's been on the site for a minute, 5 minutes, whatever you choose, then it pops up asking, do you want this free thing? Inline opt-in forms in blog posts. This is an absolutely massive one. So people who do a lot of SEO tend to have tons and tons of blog posts. Each of those blog posts can have top, if it's long, if it's like, let's say 2,000 words, top, middle, and bottom, you can have the opt-in form for your lead magnet. So as someone's reading through the article, you have the opt-in form in there. Now, some people will have ads in all of those places already, right? Or affiliate links or whatever. So you're going to have to make some kind of a balance here, but it's like, I would suggest putting it in some of those places, building up the email list. You'll start to make more money from the emails than you do from your affiliates and your ads, and then you can put it in more places. So like that might be a gradual process for some of the listeners. Sidebar, if there's a sidebar on the blog, put the opt-in form there as well. Just basically put it everywhere that, anywhere that kind of makes sense. Do your audience tend to also have like a big social media following as well, or is it mostly SEO traffic?
Yeah, I think you'll see different stages. I think probably most website builders are going to start with driving traffic from an SEO standpoint and then bolt on some different social media channels if it makes sense for their niche.
Okay, cool. Because there's some ways you can grow it through that as well that are really powerful.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of examples of the kind of results this has got, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a client in the personal development space and they were getting 100 opt-ins each week. And we put lead magnet in every blog post that they had, and we had put it in as an exit intent pop-up. So someone's going to leave the site and it pops up saying, before you leave, do you want to get this free lead magnet? And in their case, it was 5 free meditations. Okay. That was the thing we were giving away. So it went from 100 opt-ins a week up to 800 opt-ins a week instantly from doing that. So that was pretty huge straight away. And then Paintable that I mentioned before, their opt-in rate was 3.49%. We went through, did the same thing I've just said, added lead magnet to every blog post, inline lead magnets within the blog post. We had the pop-up and we removed any other things that they had on the site. So whether we're talking about the lead magnet and challenges and go buy the course right now, we removed all of that stuff, just had the focus on the lead magnet. And that went from 3.49% to 9.3%.
Tripled.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and it's not, none of this is not complicated. It's a bunch of work. Someone's got to go through all the blog posts and put this in, but a VA can do it. It's not a complicated job. It just needs doing. You've got to do it well. You've got to make sure that your pop-up is attractive, that it's well designed, that you've got to have the right structure to it. There's like a load of details to this.
Yeah.
There's a basic concept. It's really pretty straightforward.
It's work, but it's not complicated work is what you're saying. It's not something that you're going to get wrong necessarily. It's just something you've got to put a couple hours in or line the pieces up to have executed.
Yeah, exactly. And like when we're working with our clients in our group coaching program, we're helping them with every one of those steps about like, okay, what does the headline say? What kind of lead magnet's going to work? What exact text do you put here? Is this well designed? Is it the right structure? But even if you don't do that stuff, right? If you don't get it perfect, you just by doing this, it's going to make a massive difference.
Can I ask you one quick question? And this is really more of a personal question. I hope some of the audience also feels the same way. But so one of my websites, I have a lead magnet, and I'm not very good at thinking of good lead magnets. So I basically just took a couple blog posts and put them together into a little ebook. And I offer that. And I was talking to my wife, and she's like, "Are people even really interested in getting free ebooks or PDFs? Like, is that overplayed?" And that was a good point. I'm like, I don't really know, but I can't think of another better lead magnet. Like, how do people? Can you give some tips for maybe how people can think about coming up with really attractive lead magnets in their space?
Do you want to brainstorm for your one as an example?
We could. It's in like the. My audience is in the like home space, right? So it's basically about topics for around the house, how to improve things for around your home, how to take care of things around your house better, and so they're just coming for informational content.
Okay, cool. And what's your top, any of your top blog posts? Like what things are people loving?
Like how to clean this, how to fix that, how, air conditioners, sinks, kitchens, baths, all that kind of stuff.
Got it. One of the things that's amazingly effective with lead magnets is specificity. Like an example I'm trying to think how you define this space. People who are like looking to grow their own vegetables, be self-sufficient space. This is one, there was a really good test done on by a digital marketer. And they came up with a lead magnet, something like how to grow enough food for a family of 4 in 16.74 square meters.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Like
That's specific.
Really specific. Yeah.
That's specific. Okay.
What happened, it was fascinating. They did this study where they went and looked at all of the lead magnets. HubSpot did these reports about like what opt-in rates were for each of their different lead magnets. And they went through and studied like all of them and were like, we're finding some common themes here. And specificity was one of the things that made a really big difference.
Okay.
So is there like an overall topic there that, because I do think that ebooks aren't ideal. They're not the best thing, but they are one of the easiest things to make.
Right.
And so we've had good results with putting together the best blog posts and making that into something. So that's a relatively easy one. Are there any resources or downloads or things that you've got that you ever normally would sell to people but not for that much money that could be useful for these guys? Well,
I mean, we've had a little bit of success selling like checklists for people where, it's like, if you're looking to fix this, here's a checklist to go through. If you're looking to clean a bunch of different things, here's a checklist and an ordering and that sort of thing. And you got me thinking about, it's not as much as a calculator maybe, but some sort of way to kind of take stock of what you have in front of you. And this sort of list would help you take stock of it and be a lot more valuable than reading about how to do it,
Yeah, totally. Checklists are amazing.
Yeah.
How many checklists do you think you've got altogether?
Oh man, if you look at some of the individual blog posts, I mean, probably 20 or 30.
Okay. So your lead magnet could be, here's 5 checklists for fixing the top things you were going to want to fix around your house.
Yep. And you could even get it specific to each, type of blog post could have, like, let's say you're talking about your kitchen, that could be specific to that, that checklist. And then outdoors would be specific to that checklist, so forth and so on. And so that specificity could even be, we know the audience is on this blog post, so we could deliver them a specific checklist for that type of search.
That is like extra advanced. It would 100% work better, but it's going to take a bunch more time to do, kind of thing.
And you're almost saying you don't even need to go that far necessarily out of the gate, right? Out of the gate. No. Okay, good.
Yeah, start with what's your top 3 or 5 that you'd be happy to give away. That's what we did with the meditations. They were selling 27 meditations. People loved them. We're like, what if we splintered off 5 and just put that everywhere? Now, there's other things that we could have done, and we could go through each of the blog posts and have the perfect lead magnet for them. That it's so far down the list.
Right. So you're talking 80-20, just 80. What's going to get you 80% of the value and the gain for just, 20% of the effort, the first 20% of the effort.
Exactly. That's every single thing we do has been run through an 80-20 analysis and like, okay, here's the 20 things that we'll eventually get to. Here's the 2 that we'll do first. And then we'll come back to, and like we've got clients that we work with on a done for you basis. I think we've got someone we've worked with for just over a year now, and we've helped them go from 20,000 a month to 200,000 a month, and we haven't done that yet. So it's way down the list.
That's good. It's a good reminder, because that's the other thing. You can just go so deep down the process, and you'll never know, but you didn't need to, and you didn't need to spend all that time that you could have spent on so many other things.
Yeah, I always tell everybody, you have to implement stuff before you optimize it. Don't go, well, I'm going to do the perfect version. No. Do something. Get that in place. Every step that you put in that currently didn't exist moves your business forward astronomically. When you optimize, it moves it forward incrementally. And every smaller incremental improvement you make is another. But you just have to have the whole thing in place. You'll make a bunch more money. Then you go, right, cool, this is great. I can afford to hire a team who's going to go through and implement the next phase of stuff. And,
Right. Okay. Okay, so have we covered email and opt-in, or are there any other points
There's
to
one more
make
thing
on that? Okay, yeah, go for it.
If they've got social media followings, then you then also put the lead magnet everywhere on social media. So let's say you've got an Instagram channel that's doing really well. Every 10th post would then point someone to the lead magnet. So you get a bunch of different graphics made up about it, each with a slightly different benefit. Maybe you get 5 done, and every 10th post you put one of those up, and that will point people to it. Now, the guys I mentioned before, who in the personal development space, I'd said they went from 100 to 800 opt-ins from their website traffic. Well, they had a huge social media following. It was really big. And so they went from 800 opt-ins up to 5,000 a week by doing this work with social media as well. Not everybody's going to get that. That was pretty cool.
They had a good social following, but certainly, people who have smaller social followings might still get an incremental bump in conversions. Yeah. Or opt-ins, that is, just by leveraging their list. Okay.
100%. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you grow an email list in the first place. That's kind of the basics of it. The second thing is, once you've got an email list, well, how do you make money from it? So we've talked about, selling affiliate links for courses. You can do affiliate promotions for the products you're already promoting, even before that. And most people aren't doing that.
Right.
They aren't sending emails to their email list promoting the things that are on their site. You can totally do that. And that's probably the easiest place to start, actually. And then maybe moving to courses, which is then going to have a really good margin, and then maybe making your own courses, but like one step at a time, The problem most people have with email marketing is that if they send out email promotions, they do it normally 3 times a year. Mm-hmm. Black Friday, maybe July 4th, maybe New Year. It's almost always 3. And it's like 95% of the time, 95% of people I talk with, that's what they do. And when you look at their revenue, when they send one of those promotions, there's a big spike in revenue. I'm like, well, so why don't you send more of them? And they say, well, I don't want to annoy my audience. And then they all unsubscribe. So this is predicated on the idea that sending email has to be annoying, or sending email promotions has to be annoying. If it wasn't annoying and it made you money, you could do it way more often.
Right.
And so that's what we recommend to people, to do 2 email promotions a month, but you don't want them to be spammy. You don't want them to be salesy. You don't want them to be annoying, because otherwise people will unsubscribe. What you want is for them to be engaging and useful and helpful, and include promotion as well. And then the people who don't buy, which is like in every email promotion you do, 99% of people are not going to buy. Mm-hmm. But if 1% of people buy and you've got a decent sized email list, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And if you do that twice a month, it really adds up to a lot of money.
Right. Right.
So if we've got clients who, let's say, got 20, 30,000 people on their email list, and they've gone from making 3,000 a month to making about 20,000 a month. It's like, that's the kind of increase you can get with that kind of, and the traffic sizes that you're talking about. If someone's got 20,000 website visitors a month, or 30,000, they can easily build an email list that size. It's like, that's just a thing, It's not like, oh, maybe if you work at it for years and you're a good person and you strive and you determine you succeed, it's like, no, there's just things to do, and you do them, and you build that size email list.
I mean, I just did the math while we're talking here. If we're looking at the 20,000 and we're looking at a 3% opt-in rate, so again, go back to what we just talked about with coming up with a good offer, with coming up with an enticing offer, with playing around and testing a couple of offers. But 3%, I mean, that's what is that? 600 people a month?
Yeah.
And so
a year, you've got 6,000. In 2 years, you've got 12,000. I mean, obviously people unsubscribe as well, but it's like ballpark. It's like, okay, yeah, you're starting to build up something significant. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to be at 10,000 in a year and a half, and that's assuming your traffic doesn't grow month over month, which, if you're working on your site, your traffic could grow. So you could be at 10,000 subscribers in less than a year and a half, maybe a year with some traffic growth. And then, like you said, a list that size can produce some sizable revenue if you're actually promoting.
Really can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 10,000. And you're like, okay, you're probably going to be making, I mean, this is going to vary based on niche maybe, but just as a ballpark, kind of middle of the road, somewhere around 10,000 a month from that kind of size email list.
I just think it gives people because you hear about this kind of stuff and you think in the back of your mind, maybe you think, I've got to have 100,000 visitors, and I've got to spend years building this email list. And, I think in our example, but 20,000 visitors per month is very doable. Especially if you put into practice a lot of things that people hear week over week on this podcast. And man, to dangle that carrot, a very realistic carrot in front of them in terms of the value of an email list, that's really, really motivating,
Yeah. Email lists are so valuable. Like, it's just mind-boggling versus website traffic. So if you've got a whole course business already, right? You've got website traffic, you've got courses that you sell, you're building up the email list, but you're not sending out the emails regularly, you're leaving about 80% of the revenue on the table. If you're sending out email promotions 3 times a year, it's about 80% of it. That's the average results that we see with our clients, is that they 5 times their revenue. That's the average. Some people it's double, some people it's 20, but on average 5 times. That's like most people can do that. It's just that's where the money is. That's how people build up enough trust with a brand and go ahead and make purchases on these kinds of things, is through email.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you have me convinced. I'm taking notes too, by the way. But okay, so let's keep going. So, we're talking about basically the opportunity that comes with selling to your email list, not being a victim to just only selling a couple times a year, actually creating a system around selling multiple times while giving a lot of value.
Yeah. And do you want me to give you guys a framework around like what those emails might include?
Yes, very much so. Because I think there's a lot of struggle perhaps around, oh my goodness, I'm getting emails. I have my pop-up set up and I know people who are in this spot. I have people, but what do I do with them now? What do I now where do I go?
Yeah. So this is for, if you're selling courses, here's a very simple framework that you can use. It's called gain, logic, fear, going, gone. That's the name of each of the types of emails you can send. You send 6 emails in 5 days, and you have Monday through Friday with 2 going out on Friday. So the gain email is something that people can gain from sorting out this problem. You're not promoting your course directly. You're talking about what is the benefit of solving this problem in your life. How might your life look different if you do this? What's it going to look like in a day, a week, a month, 6 months, what have you, if you work on this problem? So what you're trying to convince people of here is that the problem is worth solving, not trying to convince them that your course is worth buying. Now, within that email, you then say, and if you want help with this, we have a course that you can get, and it's 30% off this week. And you mentioned that a couple of times in the email as well. The logic is then, what's the logical reasons why you need to go and sort this out? So we've talked about like the gain, how is your life going to be different? But some people are much more aren't motivated as much by the benefit, they're motivated more by logic. So what's the logical reasons to go and do this? What is it that you need to, how are things going to change in a logical, structured, organized manner? And then the fear is another angle on the same kind of thing. So the fear is, well, what's the problem that you've got and what's going to happen if you don't sort it? And so how's that going to affect your life? How's that going to affect your family or what have you? We're not trying to do scaremongering here. Like fear maybe is too strong of a term here, but it's like, what is the problem that's going to stick around with you if you don't sort this out? So what we're trying to do is educate the audience about why they would fix this, how their life could be better, how it could be changed. These emails should be useful if they don't buy. It's very, very, very important that they're useful, because otherwise people are going to stop reading your emails. But then within each of them, you're mentioning, there's got this course on discount, 30% off this week. Now, the going, gone emails are much more straightforwardly promotional. You still want them to be entertaining, useful, and helpful, but they're more focused on the people who in the first 3 emails thought, yeah, that's right, I do need to sort this problem. I am going to do something about it. I'm not sure yet whether to buy your course. So we're going to have things like frequently asked questions that people have. We're going to have testimonials. We're going to talk about the benefits of your course, what's good about it. And within each of them, you're talking about how long there is left for that 30% discount. So the first one is going to say 24 hours. The next one, what's it going out on Thursday? Yeah, so 24 hours. The next one's going to say 6 hours. And the last one's going to say maybe 2 hours, something like that. The very last one is very, very, very short. It just says, just a quick reminder, that discount's going away in 3 hours' time. If you want to go get the course, here's the link. Very, very simple and straightforward. So what we're looking to do is provide tons of value for the people who don't buy, but the value should be appropriate towards the topic that the course is about, so that if they are interested in it, then it helps them move forward towards making that purchasing decision.
So a couple things I took from that is, first off, give a lot of value.
Yeah.
Mention your course right out of the gate. Mention what you want to sell to them out of the gate. And so that they're not maybe, kind of blindsided by it when you give the offer in 4 days. But then when you're, it sounds like deadlines are also very important on these. Yeah. If I'm kind of reading between the lines, it's important to introduce deadlines in the sales process.
Yeah, 100%. So when you're selling courses, deadlines is one of the most important tactics that you use. So if people I've had people say to me, I had a friend, she said to me, I don't want to put discounts on, because then people get used to buying with discounts. And I said, well, then just raise your prices. And then they'll always buy with discounts, but it'll always be at what the previous price was anyway. And she didn't listen to me for 2 years. And I talked to her a little while ago. And I said to her, so how's everything going? She said, revenue is up by 50%. I'm like, that's great. What did you do? She's like, I started doing email promotions with discounts. I was like, cool, good. I was like, just keep your mouth shut, John. Do not say I told you so.
She'd probably forgotten at that point. It'd been so long.
Yeah.
She's like, I had this brilliant idea that I came up with. Yeah, I mean, I've heard the same argument before, but certainly discounts have been proven to move the needle. And this is a pretty, in many ways, this is a pretty new audience member, someone who's just been on board with you for a couple of days or weeks or that sort of thing. And so I can imagine discounts plus deadlines would really help them make a decision one way or the other about whether they want to buy that course or what you're selling.
Yeah, 100%. It's very much with these kind of things. A course is not something generally that somebody needs to get right now. And so you need to give some reason to make a decision.
That's a good point.
Areas, you're going to have different reasons why somebody should go ahead and buy something. There's Robert Cialdini's classic text on it, where he identified 6 different reasons why people tend to buy. And so you've got authority and reciprocity and scarcity and urgency, which is what we're looking at here with deadlines and likability. And there's all different reasons why. Now, in different areas, if you're selling like a luxury yacht, then deadlines is not the thing for you. But if you're selling courses, then deadlines works amazingly well.
Right. That's a good distinction. Okay. Any other tips for how to make more sales with the people that you have on your list?
Do you mean in terms of increasing the revenue per sale, or how to, sorry, ask me again.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. We were talking about just, how to start taking people from being on your list to actually making money on your list. And I know that we spent a lot of time with the framework. I appreciate you outlining the framework for us, because, that kind of detail will help people go put that into action. And I just want to make sure we didn't gloss over any other things inside that bucket that you had. I didn't want to, I want to leave you hanging there, or if you had any other tips to share on that kind of area.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, that's the absolute 80-20 of it is do this every month. I would start with doing once a month. And then eventually, once you're making good money from it, you move to doing twice a month.
Okay.
And just the crucial thing is doing it. So do not overcomplicate these emails. I had a client, he was selling home recording studios. So he used to be a sound engineer. He built up a website where he had, I forget exactly, but I think like 10,000 website visitors a month, something in that kind of ballpark. And he sold the courses only directly on the site. He didn't have any email marketing going out about it, but he had an email list. And he was just the most beautiful person to work with, because he never overcomplicated any single thing. I just would say to him, right, here's a framework. He'd go, I don't totally get that, John. I don't totally understand it yet, but I'll give it a bash. And he'd go do it. And the next week he'd come, and we had calls twice a month. That was it. And then 2 weeks later, he'd come back and go, I did this thing. I don't know if I got it right, but I made a bunch of money from it. How do we make it better? Is that what we do next, or do we do something else? And he just had no barriers about it. He'd just go and give it a go. It's just like, try it out, come up with the best he could, put something together. Like when we're working with our coaching clients, we're like, okay, they write the email, they go through our training about it, we give them a template, they write it, they send it to us, we give them feedback on it. Like there's a whole process, right? But you don't have to have that to make money from it. If you do something, you'll make money, and then you go, oh, that was quite cool. Like as an idea in terms of percentage of your email list, if you do this badly, about 0.1% of your email list will buy from you. Now, if you've got a tiny email list, okay, that's probably not going to make you much money. If you've got a massive email, say you've got 100,000 people on your email list, then that's going to make you what, like 1,000 sales? No, sorry, 100 sales.
100 sales, yeah.
And so if you're making 100 sales and it's at $97, well, then you've just made $10,000 from that email promotion you sent.
Doing it terribly.
Yeah, that's like doing a really, really bad job of it, 0.1%. If you do an amazing job with it, if it's a new course, then you might get like 1%. I've occasionally seen 2% of the email list buy. But as a general rule, the average middle of the road, we're looking at 0.3 to 0.5% of your email list buying every time you do this. And then if you're just doing that twice a month, that really starts to add up. So if you do it badly, you're still going to make way more money than not doing it at all. And you're starting to get the hang of it, and then you'll do it a bit better the next time.
And you're getting that nice positive reinforcement. Nothing's better than working on a project or working on a task where you've already seen that the results tangibly lead to more gain, to more profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is like drinking through a fire hose to some degree. I say that sometimes when we have guests here, but this is definitely one of those that qualifies. We're starting to come up to the end here. So I want to make sure we had talked pre-show about this. One of the areas was how to make more once you get a little bit further down the road. And so I just want to make sure we touch on that. I want to make sure we talk about how to make more once you are in the selling process. And again, this might be down the road for a lot of people listening. Part 1, part 2 might be more for the people who have an audience going to their website, but they're not maximizing it via emails and via sending emails. But maybe talk to the people who do have a course, who are in the process of having an email interaction and exchange on a regular basis with their list. What are some ways, maybe some more advanced ways, maybe not, to make more money from that?
Yeah. So if you've already got people buying courses from you, if any product this works for, but courses we're talking about today, then this is the easiest thing you could possibly do to increase your revenue. Like if you've already got all that stuff in place, then this is the one to do first. It's called order bumps. And almost nobody uses them. And they always, always, always work, and they're incredible. And on average, they increase people's revenue by about 20%, and they take almost no time to set up. So an order bump is when you're on the checkout page. You've gone to the sales page, you've read about the course, you've decided, yep, that sounds good. You click add to cart. You're on the checkout page, and someone's filling in their credit card details, putting in their name, that kind of thing. An order bump is on that page, you have a tick box of something else that person could get. So let's say you're selling a $99 course. The order bump might be $37, and it's an additional workbook that goes with it, or it's an additional set of checklists that might fit well with that course that they're buying. Or it's a Q&A with a number of people who've implemented this system for themselves, and you're going to sell that as well. Or it's an audiobook that goes along with it. And like whatever you've got that could fit. Like I said, implement before you optimize. Just whatever you've got that might fit. And if you've got something that's kind of a mediocre fit, then you'll get about 30% of people will buy it.
Wow, that high.
Yeah. You have 2 lines of text selling it. It's because it's in that spot when they're in the process of buying.
Right.
So you don't have to write a whole sales page. You've got just 2-3 sentences, something like that. If you've got the perfect order bump that absolutely fits and you craft your text perfectly, you might get 50 or 60% of people buying.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's huge. Significant. Is that because they've already decided to open their wallet, so they're kind of already in, they've already gotten over the hump, and so it's like, if you continue to give them something that also solves problems for them, they'll just continue to order? Yeah,
exactly. It's exactly what it is. Yeah. So that's the easiest one. And then the second one, and this is a bit more advanced, is the upsell. So they've gone through the checkout, they've put the credit card details in, they've clicked submit. The next page they see is the upsell page. Now, normally most people there just say, thank you very much, your product will be with you soon, or here's where you download it. If instead of that, you have another offer on that upsell page, So that is probably the next logical step. So maybe they've bought one course, you sell them a bundle of all of your courses, or you say you've sold them the beginner course, now you sell them the intermediate one, or you sold a membership and you've sold 1 month, now you sell 3 months worth. If you're doing this with products, you've sold them 1 bottle of supplements. On the upsell page, you offer them 3 bottles for a discount. That's the basic idea there, is you have the next thing that they could get at a discount. Again, whatever you do, don't invent something new for this page. Take something you've already got and put it on there.
Okay.
And nearly all checkout software has this functionality of order bumps and upsells already in there.
And these sound like pretty low-hanging fruit. I mean, you kind of teased it as, hey, you're basically adding order bumps and upsells from products you already have, or you're piecing together things that make sense from the product suite and the course suite that you already have at your disposal.
Yeah. So David Vignola, the guy I mentioned earlier, the home recording studios courses, I talked to him about this on a strategy call. So we did a free strategy call. We went through and we figured out how much more money he could be making, and was this going to work for him? He signed up to do coaching, but he hadn't started the coaching yet. I just told him he should have this. And he went over into Kajabi, which is the software he was using, and looked up order bumps, found it, set up some order bumps for all of his products. And within, I think it was 3 days, he set up order bumps and upsells, and he was making 30% more revenue.
Just like that, yeah.
And he made that forever since. It's like, it's like you could just set something up and it's way better than not having anything at that stage.
The whole part of today has reminded me, and I don't know if this is an observation that anybody else can kind of recognize or at least synonymize with, but a lot of the foundation of how people build websites that listen to the Niche Pursuits podcast is on the back of SEO. And so we just have it drilled into our minds that this is going to be a long, slow process. It's going to take a lot of time. But the good news is once it starts to build and once it starts to hit, it really hits and you get those exponential growth curves. And then the traffic does tend to maybe stick longer over time. It's much more sustainable. But we're so ingrained that it's going to be a long, slow, and hard process. And so much of today is almost the opposite of that. It's almost lean on all your hard work to grow those websites, those content sites. And so much of this can actually be done relatively easily, not overcomplicated. It does take work, but it can be executed and implemented really, relatively quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I see, the people that we work with, and we only work with people who've already got an audience and they've already got courses, is that they've done all the work, or they've done so much of the work, but it's not been realized yet. Right. The value of it hasn't been realized. So our part is wonderful, because if you just put what we're doing into something where they don't have much traffic, it doesn't do very much. But if someone's built up lots of traffic and a big email list already, and then you put our system in place, well, then it goes absolutely crazy. And so that's just wonderful. I get to give people very good news on a regular basis. It's really nice.
So how can people follow along with what you're doing? Where are you located at? What are the things that you that you and your team offer?
Yeah, so what we've got for you guys is a course creators profit report. So what we will do, if people already have a website, they've got traffic, they don't even have to have courses yet. They can go and fill this in. They can go to pimpyourfunnel.com.
Okay.
And they fill in about 10, 12 questions, something like that. And we will do a personalized report for them about how much more money they could be making and what things they could, from the stuff I've said today, what order would you do that in, some links to some training about it, so they can get all of that for free at pimpyourfunnel.com.
Sounds like a better offer than an ebook or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that one converts better than an ebook. And you've probably tested that, actually. So pimpmyfunnel.com, and they can kind of enter information.
Pimp your funnel.
Thank you. So I hadn't written it down yet. So good. And we'll get that in the show notes so people can click below, no matter how they're listening here. I think maybe parting words for people, for someone who doesn't have a course, what's your number one recommendation that they can do right now? And for someone who does have a course, what would be your number one recommendation for them to do?
Yeah, if they haven't got the course yet and they haven't got the email list, I would start with that.
Okay.
Take something and start building up that email list. Mm-hmm. And if you've got the lead magnets, then start putting them everywhere. And if you've got an email list, but you haven't got the courses yet, I would start selling something to your email list. Start sending out useful emails that also sell, whether it's the current products you have on affiliate or courses.
Right.
If you've
ClickBank
got
or
courses,
go find some. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you've got the courses already, you've got an email list, you've got courses, you're already making sales of the courses, I would first of all start with the order bumps and then work backwards through the stuff we've gone through today, then start sending more emails and then start building your email list bigger.
So I think every single person listening can slot themselves in somewhere there in that process and know what the next step they need to take is.
Yeah.
John, thank you so much. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that we need to touch on really quickly before we go? I think we covered.
I mean, the only thing, and I have to say this to people, to our clients all the time, is do not overcomplicate this. Just do something to start with. Don't try and do it perfectly. Just get started and you will make more money. And then you go, that John guy did know something. And then you can move on to the next step.
Hopefully it's not several years later and we've forgotten that you're the one who gave us the advice. Hey, John, thanks so much for coming on board today. Like I said, this is a topic we haven't talked about in quite a while. And I feel really inspired to go do something with my site and my traffic. And I hope a lot of other people feel the same, but this is a really value-packed episode. Thanks so much for coming on board.
You're very welcome. It's an absolute delight. Thanks so much for having me.
It's your thing. Cheers. Have you been frustrated with your Google traffic lately? Are you tired of tools that make you search through millions of keywords and require a math degree to figure out? There's an SEO tool called Rank IQ that can help. They're ranked number 1 on G2 for both ease of use and customer satisfaction. Rank IQ gives you a list of the lowest competition, high traffic keywords in your niche, and they're all clear winners. When you choose one of their hand-picked keywords, their AI takes over and gives you a simple report telling you what Google wants you to cover in your blog post. Whether you have a new site or have been around for a while, Rank IQ will take your Google traffic to a whole new level. Go to rankiq.com/niche pursuits to lock yourself in at 50% off their monthly rate. I'll put this special link in the episode's description.